Hello everyone!
Hey everyone, welcome to this masterclass.
We are your teachers for today. My name is Sarah.
And my name is Martin.
And today we're going to be talking about starting off right with your dog. So this can be a puppy that you just adopted, a dog that you currently have at home, or a dog that you adopted and that is a few months old or even years old.
So basically this class is for you if you have a dog.
So to give you a little intro, a little background on who we are the owners of SIMPLY-K9.
So we started off 15 years ago with a dog walking service that quickly transformed into dog training.
We opened and operated a dog training center where we offered grooming, doggy daycare, dog boarding, board and train. So we've been around, we've worked with so many dogs from little Chihuahuas to Great Danes and everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this course, we're going to give you a lot of tips and tricks so that you have a good start with your pup. And even if you have a dog already, these tips are going to be able to be implemented in your daily life so you would get a better relationship with your dog.
Let's begin.
So let's begin by unbunking a myth that there is in the dog training world. It's that you have to train your dog when he's 6 months old, and we've even heard 12 months old. That is completely a total myth. You have to educate and train your dog as soon as you get it. As soon as he comes home, you have to start showing him what are the rules, what are the boundaries, what he needs to do, what he can do. Everything that you want him to know, you have to start off with those.
Yes, because we have to remember, when a pup is born, the mother doesn't decide to train the dog or educate the dog when the dog is 3 or 4 weeks old. It starts right away. And we know this because we also did dog breeding. We did French Bulldogs precisely. And we really studied how the mother educates the puppies as soon as they're born. So that's why it's so important to start educating your dog right away.
Another thing that's really important is that all dogs are different. A lot of clients come to us like, I don't know what's going on. I had 3, 5, 10 dogs in my life, and this one, I just don't know what to do. So every dog is different. Every dog has its own temperament. Every dog has its own emotions. Every dog has its own experiences. So by knowing that, you have to know that you need to adapt whatever you're teaching to your dog to your specific dog. It's not, yes, there are rules that are, basic, but when it comes to a single being like your dog, you have to adapt to your dog. It's like humans, we're all different. So it's the same thing with the dogs. They're all different.
So basically you have to remember that you educate the dog that is in front of you and not the dogs that you've had in the past. So like Martin said, you really have to adapt your training, your education to the dog that is in front of you.
Exactly, and that brings to one of the teachings that the dogs are here to teach us is live in the moment.
So before we go any further, we're going to explain the difference between training your dog and educating your dog.
So training your dog is the command part, the sit, the down, the stay, the plays, the rollover, all that is the training part. And then there's the education part. The education is more based on the behavior, the impulse control, the emotion control also. So it's the way that your dog is going to be acting every single moment of his life. That's basically education. It's how he's going to behave, how he's going to feel, how he's going to control his emotions. All that is basically the education part. And the training part, like I said, is the sit, down, stay, roll over, and all that.
Yeah, and we like to focus a lot about education. Because when you have an educated dog, you could bring your dog anywhere. You can do pretty much anything you want to do. You could have guests over, and you know that your dog is going to be polite, sitting beside, not jumping on your guests. So basically, education is everything, and it's super important to educate well your dog. Because remember, you guys are the leaders. You guys are your dog's owners. You are here to show your dog how to behave and how not to behave. Your dog doesn't have a map and just a book and is born into this world and knows exactly what to do, when to do it, or what not to do. And so it's important to really take ownership and educate your dog properly.
Because it's extremely fun and fulfilling when you go wherever you want with your dog and you get compliments by everyone that sees your dog, because a lot of people, they have dogs that misbehave and they just accept it. And we've had clients that lived years with dogs that misbehave.
Yeah,
And it messes up their lives. Like no social, like we had clients that 12 years they didn't go on vacation because they couldn't leave the dog with anyone.
That's it. And that's not what we want. We're here to actually show you guys how to educate properly your dog so you can have a social life. You don't have to choose between, am I going to stay home with my dog because I can't have him bored with anybody because he's not behaving, or between, you know, having your social life. So we want you to have it all. We want you to have a good-mannered, educated dog. We want you to have a good relationship also with your dog, where your dog respects you, you respect your dog. So we want you to have all of that. So we first want to talk about understanding the importance of early training, early education, and socialization. Like we touched on before, it's super important to educate your dog as soon as you bring your dog home.
So one of the most important things when you get your puppy home is that whatever you imprint, the first impression that he gets of your home. So let's say you bring him home, you have it in your arms, you put it on the floor, and everybody goes, "Oh baby, look around!" And he runs around wherever in every room and everything. So what you're explaining to your dog is that welcome to your kingdom. You could do whatever you want whenever you want. So that's where having your dog on a leash, keeping him, let's say, in the living room only for those first moments, that's gonna give your dog the knowledge that there's a bit of structure. So unknowingly, you're teaching structure to your dog right off the bat. And that's one of the keys to a good education.
So you want to introduce your dog to just a few places in your home. So like Martin said, maybe you'll give access to your dog to the living room and the kitchen.
Yeah, usually we start off with that living room and kitchen. Like the kennel could be there, and the food he's in the kitchen. So that's basically the first two rooms that you should be able to show your dog structure in.
It's important to set realistic expectations for your dog. So one of the things when you bring home your puppy, you can't expect your puppy to be potty trained, for example. You can't expect your puppy to be fully crate trained. You know, your puppy is entering a new environment and is learning. So you have to teach your dog everything.
It's really important that you create a positive learning environment for your puppy. And the best way to do that is through calmness.
Because when you're calm, your dog actually can become calm also.
And we know it's fun to educate our dog, to train our dog, and we're like, "Oh, you're too cute," because they are cute. But always remember to go back to calmness. You could, celebrate those little wins with excitement, but always remember to come back to calmness, because a calm dog is a fun dog to have. If you see signs of anxiety or fear in your little puppy, make sure you don't treat him as a human. And I mean, picking him up and say, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." Because what you would be doing is you would be actually nurturing that fear and anxiety. So you could actually redirect his attention to a toy, to food, so that he gets out of that state of mind.
Because when you nurture that state of mind of fear or anxiety, that actually grows. So as humans, we think like we're gonna cuddle the puppy for it to feel better, like we would do maybe a child that gets hurt or a child that's fearful. But like Martin said, dog psychology is not the same thing as human psychology. So you're nurturing really that state of mind. And what happens when you nurture that state of mind continues to grow and can become worse if you don't address it. And that's where oftentimes we get dogs that are fearful or anxious of thunderstorms or fireworks or anything, any little fears or noises. They get like startled, they get fearful, because sometimes humans do nurture that state of mind without knowing it. So it's super important to redirect it and just nurture the state of mind that you want from your dog. Now let's talk about leadership and how it's important to really lead your dog. What does it mean to lead your dog?
So there's a big misconception with leadership in the dog training world. There's a lot of people fighting over it. What does it mean? It's, you gotta be mean out, it's the alpha and all that. The way we teach it and the way we see it is that leadership is exactly as being a parent. You are there to guide your dog in this human world. You're supposed to teach him how to act in every situation. So for us, that's the leadership that we talk about. It's the parenting of your pup. And it's really about guiding your pup so that he could become an awesome dog that you could, bring everywhere and that is completely balanced.
So being the leader of your dog is really establishing that leader role, just like a teacher and the students, a team leader and your team that you lead at work, for instance. So it's the same thing at home. You're the leader, you're the teacher, you're the parent, and your dog is there to learn from you. So you want to do that by having trust and respect between your dog. So we can't be just lovey-dovey and just, nurture a dog, give it food, give it water, give it love, and then when it's time to educate your dog, then no, I'm not going to educate, or I'm not going to say no, or I'm not going to, I'm not going to lead. So it's important to build that trust and respect, and you do that by leading your dog and showing your dog what's right from wrong.
And every relationship, even in the human world, it's all based on mutual respect. So if you have mutual respect, and in a dog's case, it's respecting who he is. So he is a dog, he is an animal, he has dog needs and not human needs. Okay? So by understanding that and respecting that, the relationship is going to be just amazing.
So you want to make sure that you set rules and boundaries in your home. For instance, if you don't want your dog to go on the couch, it's important to set that as a rule and enforce the rule. So enforce the rule doesn't mean you grab your dog and you throw it off the couch. It means you gently guide your dog off the couch and you explain in this human-dog relationship communication way where your dog is going to actually understand that the couch is off limits.
And the way to show it is simple. It's just physically interrupting him going all the way on the couch. As simple as that.
Right. And if your dog is already on the couch, you could grab your leash and...
Or grab your dog and just put him
guide
down.
him off.
And if he comes back, you again and repeat until he understands, because they are smart. He's going to understand that, oh, okay, my human doesn't want me to go on the couch. Got it.
And just like us, to learn new habits, repetition is key. The next thing that is super important when you bring your dog home is crate training. Now, again, there's a lot of talk about crate training. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people want to use a big playpen, but ultimately, crate training is your best friend. It's the best tool to learn structure, to learn calmness, to reduce anxiety, to help your dog actually get potty trained. So really, after 15 years, seeing so many dogs, so many types of dogs, also with different temperaments, crate training is really your best friend.
So I know a lot of people see the crate as a prison or as a,
something negative.
Something negative, exactly. But the way dogs see it when it's properly introduced is their own room. The way that you enjoy your room or your library room or your sunroom, it's for them, it's their room, their kennel, their cage. It's exactly that for them. It's a calm place where they feel safe and they could just relax. Of course, if ever it is introduced in a negative way, like if people shove their dogs because they're being naughty or they peed on the floor, that's going to create something completely negative and it could create a whole bunch of problems. But what we're talking about is actually educating your dog to enjoy the crate, to understand that he's safe and he could be calm and that's his own little place.
Right, so we're going to give you just a few key tips to introduce your dog to the crate properly. So again, this could work for a puppy that has never been in a crate, a dog that you just adopted that's 5-6 months, or even an older dog. So it's all about the introduction to the crate. So first you want to get a crate that's big enough for your dog, right? So your dog has to be able to be on his four paws, standing up, and has to be able to circulate, like turn around in the crate. So you don't want it too big. So let's say you don't buy a huge crate for a little Chihuahua, because then your Chihuahua is going to have space to sleep, to poop, to play, and that's not what we want. Ultimately, the crate is really to create calmness. It's like Martin said, a room for your dog to just go and relax.
It's like his little den. And if ever you haven't seen a den, like let's say a fox's den, it's just a little, round space where he could actually just stand up and sleep. That's it. Because remember, we want to teach that the cage is calmness and relaxation. So sleep and calmness that's what they do in their cage. Yes, you could throw a little bone, a little toy, that's fine, but it's not, a place where you could have mayhem, where they could run around and jump and pee and poop. No, it's just calmness, like fun, could be fun, but calm in a calm way.
Right. So after you have the right size for your dog, you know that your dog can stand and go around in it. Next, you want to open the door of the crate. So you could introduce your dog to the crate with a leash. It goes a lot better with a leash because you could actually guide your dog to the crate, get in and get out, rather than like having your dog go in and then run around. So you really want to have the leash to actually have it more structured.
Yeah, so you could actually, like Sarah said, you could actually guide him in and out, but also prevent from running away. So if he's scared of the cage and he runs away, and we don't do nothing about it, we allow that running away. So we're gonna be able to create. Well, we're gonna be creating fear of the cage, and that's not what we want. So the guidance is also so that he stays near the cage because it's not something that he has to fear.
Right. So when you're doing that, you could actually use a treat or a piece of food for your dog. You could throw it in, your dog goes in, good, and then you let your dog out. So you could also give your dogs their meals in the crate. Like that, they'll eat, they'll get used to it. It's fun, you're eating, you're in your crate. So they get used to all of that, and they know that it's a safe space, it's a fun place, because, they're just eating, nothing is happening. So once you do it a few times, getting your dog in and out, getting your dog to stay in the crate for a longer period of time with the door open, you want to eventually close the door also, because the goal is to get your dog to be able to sleep, or to be able to be in that space when you guys are gone, or even when you're in the home. So you want to close the door and leave it closed for a few minutes, and then again guide your dog out of the crate so he could come in a relaxed way out. So you don't want your dog to be jumping on the crate and then you open the door, because then that's what you're creating. Your dog is going to continue to jump on the crate, and that's going to signal, okay, I'm jumping on the crate, my owner, my leader is opening the door, so now I understand that that's what I have to do. And that's not what we want. Again, we want to create the crate as a safe, a calm space. So you really want to guide your dog with calmness out of the crate, just like you do into the crate. So once your dog is, again, used to having the door of the crate closed, you're going to want also to leave the room. So one thing not to do, you don't want to get home, you just got your puppy, throw your puppy in the crate, and then leave for work the next day. Because you're going to create chaos, you're going to create confusion, you're going to create anxiety, you're going to create fear. So you really want to make sure that you actually have a few days with your dog to introduce a crate, so it could be introduced properly in a calm way. So the next step, when your dog is okay with you leaving the room, coming back, you're going to want to leave your dog a bit longer in the crate. So you could start off with 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and so on. But like I said, it's super important not to open the door of the crate when your dog is jumping on the crate or is barking.
And if ever your dog is not enjoying the crate, you could give him a little bit more food or a little bit more toys so that he gets out of that state of mind of fear or panic. And as soon as he goes to calmness, you open the door, and that way you're letting him out with calmness. Okay, because you never want your dog to panic, to be super anxious and rush the door and bang on the door and you guys open the door. So that's teaching him that if you want to get out, you have to panic, and that's not what we want.
So it takes a bit of time, but with the steps that we gave you, this could give you a good idea of how to introduce your dog to the crate. Remember to go slowly, help out your dog, guide with the leash. You could give food to make it fun. You could give a toy, not a squeaky one, but maybe like a Kong or something where the dog could chew. Just take your time, stay calm, and continue to be persistent.
One of the big benefits of having your dog crate train is that you know that when you leave, you know that he's in a safe space and there's nothing that's going to be happening to him. So it's the same way as when we put our kids in a playpen. We don't leave our kids in the middle of the living room and then go to prepare supper. No, we put the crate or the playpen, sorry, we put the playpen where we could see it and we could actually know that the baby is in that little limit. So it's exactly the same thing for a dog. We have to make sure that he's safe because we don't want him to run around, pee everywhere,
Chew something.
chew things that he's not supposed to, swallow things that he's not supposed to. Because if you don't know, that is something that's sometimes it happens and it's a big bill, a big vet bill to open up your dog and take it out. So, and we don't want that. We want your dog to be just, safe and relaxed and calm. And like I said, there's a lot of benefits to having your dog crate trained. And one of the biggest ones is that your dog is always safe. You know that he's okay. And it removes a stress when you go to work.
Now for potty training. Potty training takes some time. It takes patience and perseverance, but you're going to get through it. So again, I want to remind you that every dog is different. So even though you had a dog that was potty trained in 2-3 days, maybe this dog is going to take 2 months to potty train, and this could happen. So really remember to educate the dog in front of you.
So the way that we found that works really good with all our clients is the first one is using the crate. So usually dogs don't pee or poop wherever they're sleeping. So if you have a crate that's the right size, your dog is pretty much going to be avoiding peeing and pooping in that area. So if you're not having 100% eyes on your dog, it's better to keep him in the cage. And when he's out of the cage, you have to be on him like a hog. You have to see those little signals, sniffing around or turning around. Those signals are going to indicate that he needs to potty. So when you see that, you could grab your puppy and bring him to the spot outside or pee pad that you want him to pee on. Okay, so it has to be consistent. And if there's an accident, the only responsible being for that accident is yourself, because your job as a leader is actually to be aware of when he's gonna go. So that's why you have to keep an eye on him, and as soon as you see, you bring him to the spot that he's supposed to do his business in, and when he does his business, you celebrate. You could actually say, good boy, good girl, good pee-pee. All right, so like that, he's gonna know that he did something good when he was doing his business at that spot.
Yeah, and one thing also that helps a lot is always go by the same door. So if, let's say, the crate would be in the kitchen or near a door, always go by that same door. Like that, your dog is kind of gonna remember that, and always bring to the same spot, because eventually your dog is gonna pee and the odor is gonna be there. So he or she is gonna smell that odor, and it's gonna kind of remember, okay, this is where I pee, this is where I do my business. So that helps a lot to bring it by the right door and at the same spot. Another tip to get your dog potty trained faster is to really monitor the water. So you don't want to leave a bowl of water out, because your dog could actually drink the whole bowl and then is going to need to pee maybe every 2-3 minutes. So you want to control the water, control the food intake, and have a schedule. Like that, you know when your dog drinks or eats, and then you know when your dog has to go do his business.
And that not only allows you to monitor the pee and the poo of your dog, but it also offers structure. So you're offering structure, you're offering guidance to your dog. So you're saying, okay, so I control the food, I control the water. So that creates a leadership relationship. So you're the leader, you're the parent, you're the one offering food, offering water whenever he needs it. Okay, so structure helps build relationship. a good relationship based on mutual respect, and also helps in the potty training process.
One last tip for potty training, you want to stop water, food at least 3 hours before bedtime. So let's say you decide that your last outing for your dog is at 10 p.m. You want to stop food, water maybe at 7 p.m., even before. Okay, so that's the last time that your dog is going to eat or drink, and then you're going to bring it outside at 10 p.m., do his business, and then bring it back to sleep for the whole night.
And sometimes they do wake up in the middle of the night when they're really young. So you might have to bring him outside or to his pee spot in the middle of the night. So just know that it's a possibility, and make sure as much as you can, you actually do it, because that's going to help the process.
And we're going to share a pro tip with you. We've had a lot of dogs of our own, and obviously we board and train, and we trained a lot of dogs throughout our 15 years. One thing, one tip, one little secret that really worked well for us is having our dogs sleep in crates beside our bed the first 2 to 3 nights. So what we do when we usually have a new puppy and it just got home, we have a crate beside our bed to have our puppy kind of wake up during the night, because we know most of the times, you know, when you bring your puppy home, he was used to being in a playpen, or used to being like having a lot of space and doing their business. So when you introduce your dog to the crate and you want them to be quickly potty trained, at least for nighttime, usually it takes us 2 to 3 nights. So we have the crate beside the bed, and as soon as we would hear the dog waking up, we take the dog in our arms, we bring him out to do his business. And usually pretty much right away they do their business, and we bring them straight back to the crate for the rest of the night.
Yeah, when you do that, it's important that you don't start playing with your dog, because we've had a few clients where they start playing because the dog is cute, and then they created excitement, but a whole mess, because now the dog every night wants to start playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we as humans, we want to sleep at that time. So so if you want to enjoy your night, make sure that it's pee outside or wherever he's supposed to do his business, and then back in the crate and back to sleep. So like we mentioned, it could take a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but eventually it's going to happen. Your dog is going to be potty trained.
Socialization is another important aspect to your dog's life. So it's important to introduce your dog to new people, new environments, new animals, new dogs,
new places.
Yeah, in order for him to be comfortable in every situation.
So whenever you're teaching something new to your dog, a new place, a new person, a new dog, make sure that you make it positive. And by making positive, I mean making sure that the experience doesn't become a trauma. All right, so you could have a little bit of food, a little bit of a couple of toys, and also always do it with a leash. The leash, like we said before, it's there for guidance. So whenever you need to guide your dog away or in front, or whatever movement that you need to help your dog with, the leash is there to actually give you a hand so that you could guide your dog better. It's important to address what's going on so that your dog doesn't stay stuck in that anxiety or fear. If ever you have a second dog in your home, or you have a neighbor that has another dog that interacts a lot with your new puppy, always make sure that you're there to teach your dog how to act properly. And the best way, although we love to see our pups play, the best way to teach your dog the proper things that are going to help in the future in his life, his whole life, and your lives, it's actually teaching that when there's other dogs, we need to be calm. Because a lot of people teach unknowingly, they teach a new dog in the area or the environment means party, okay? So, or free for all. So that's not what we want to teach. Yes, of course they could play, but it's when you say it's okay to play that they could actually play. So you want your puppy to learn to be calm in any situation.
Right, and even like for an older dog. So let's say you have a new dog that is coming home that is just a puppy, and you have a older dog that's 5-7 years old, and this older dog has been alone for quite some time. Well, you don't want to just invade your dog's kind of routine. You know, you want to introduce gently the new puppy to your older dog. So you could do that by letting your dog, your older dog, sniff, let's say the puppy. That's how they kind of introduce themselves by. And same thing for your puppy to smell your dog's bottom. So that's how they say, hi, how are you? You know, nice to meet you. So you can do that. And also another way to introduce dogs together is by walking. So if your puppy is, you know, still small, maybe you're not going to go for a long walk, but you could still walk in your yard with both dogs on leashes. You could still walk in your house. Yeah. So you don't, walking doesn't mean going for 15-minute walks with a 8-week-old puppy. It just means to create structure, create that bond between the new dogs, and doing that with a little walk in just the yard is fine.
Yeah, because that's the way dogs create their pack. It's by walking. If they walk together and a dog wants to join the pack, he's going to follow the pack. And if they want to welcome him, they're going to allow him to walk together. And if they don't want him, they're going to push him away. So it's the same thing. You're creating a bond within your pack, within your family.
Next, let's talk about leash training and structured walk. So leash training is also very important. You want your dog, your new dog, your puppy, to be able to walk properly on a leash, right? And it's not super natural for dogs to have a collar right off the bat. So that's why it's important to put on a collar, put on a leash, and you could actually let your puppy walk around with the leash in the home without your puppy chewing on the leash. So you just want him to get used to having this around the neck.
Yeah, just to carry the weight around. So the best walk that you could teach your dog is the structured walk. The structured walk is just simply having your dog walking next to you, walking with you. It's not a heel command. A lot of people teach their dogs to walk next to them with a command. But what we teach is actually when the dog walks with you, he actually walks with you. So if you stop, he's gonna stop. If you turn right, he's gonna turn right. And we're doing it in a more intuitive way, not a command way. Okay? And that's really amazing. Like, all our clients love walking their dogs, and the dog just instinctively walks with their owners. If they stop, they sit, they lay down. And it's always through calmness and through love that we actually create this bond. Because when you create a bond based on trust, you could actually see it in the walk. And the walk is actually the foundation of your relationship. So if you see a person that's struggling with the walk with their dog, it's actually they're struggling inside the house too. But if you see somebody that's walking their dog with ease and flow, that's pretty much the same relationship they have inside the house.
Of course, it's not magic. You won't put on your dog's leash on and then walk out the door and then it's gonna magically walk by your side. So it takes practice, it takes calmness. We teach the structured walk because it takes like a few steps to actually practice and master it. But just to get you started, like we said, let your dog walk around with a leash to get used to that weight on his neck. Also, how you get out of the house is a big indicator of how your walk is gonna be. So if you take the leash and you're like, oh, you wanna go for a walk, you're already exciting your dog to be excited, jump around and be like all hyped up. And that's the energy that you're bringing outside.
Yeah, so you're teaching your dog that walks equals excitement, and that's not what we want. We want to teach
calmness.
Walk equals calmness.
Right. So you want to take the leash like you would just take your keys to go drive the car, right? You're not like, oh, let's go drive the car. You're like, just take the leash, put it on your dog, and go out in a calm manner. And once you go out in a calm manner, that already indicates to your dog, okay, this is like a calm, chill activity that is fun for us to do.
Another tip for a structured walk is to allow your dog to pee and poop in the first 2-3 minutes, and then offer a walk, and during that walk not allow him to pee or poop. Well, not poop, okay, but not peeing, because we don't want him to learn how to mark. And then at the end of the walk, you allow again 2-3 minutes for him to potty.
So basically, you don't want your dog to be pulling you around to go sniff and pee and poop wherever and whenever they want.
You want him to be right next to you.
Exactly. Teaching your dogs essential commands like sit, down, stay, come are super important also in your dog's education.
And you can teach those commands as soon as your dog gets in your home.
And you could see commands as tools to help you with your dog's education.
And remember, whenever you're teaching any commands, you have to make it fun. You have to enjoy it, and your dog has to enjoy it. So if ever you're tired or stressed and you don't feel like doing it, just don't do it. Okay? You have to really want to do it for the training to be actually successful and beneficial.
So here are some tips to help train your dog. First, you want to introduce one command at a time to your dog. So you're not gonna, okay, in a day, let's do sit, down, stay. No, it's one command. So you could start with, let's say, sit. And you're gonna practice that command about 5 to 10 minutes per day. You could do it 2 to 3 times per day. But you wanna keep these training sessions short because sometimes, you know, a puppy could get tired pretty quickly. So we don't wanna get your pup tired to the point that he's not or she's not interested anymore. So you wanna keep it fun, short, and engaging with your puppy. To train your puppy, you could just use your dog's food. You don't need to have a special treat. You could just use your dog's daily meal to do the training.
And by using your dog's meal, you're actually teaching your dog to work for his food. So that's a great thing.
So again, to train your dog with command, it takes consistency and you just have to keep going. Some dogs will catch it right away and some dogs it's going to take a little longer. So just be consistent and practice each and every day because again, repetition is key.
And remember, always keep it fun. One of the main issues that we get with puppies is that they play bite. And when they're small, their little teeth are as pointy as needles and it hurts. So to stop that, you want to actually make sure that you don't engage. So if you start pushing your dog, you're actually starting playing and you're telling your dog, okay, I'm up for it, I want to play with you. Okay, so what we recommend is actually if they're going for your hands, just close your hands and just make a little movement as, hey buddy, we don't do that. Hey buddy, give me my space back. Okay, and when they stop, then you could grab a toy and then give them the toy. Okay, because a lot of people say, a lot of dog trainers say you have to redirect because you want the dog to chew the toy and not the hand. But if your dog is chewing the hand and then you shove a toy, then you're like rewarding, you're saying, good job for biting my hand, here's a toy. And that's not what we want. We actually want him to understand that he has to stop biting the human, and then the reward for that action of stopping is actually getting a toy and that he could chew the toy.
It's super important to stop the mouthing and the nipping right away because play biting can be like fun and cute when your puppy is small, but it could rapidly escalate and we don't want that. Even when puppies are small and they're all together with their mother, some puppies will go and bite, and the others, how they signal to stop is they actually will yelp, you know, they'll do a little sound and that gets them off the puppy right away. So puppies are smart, they understand, you just have to communicate it in a way that they're gonna understand in order for them to stop the behavior.
Another way you could prevent your dog from being overexcited or over aggressive or over playful is by choosing the right toy. A lot of people, they love those squeaky toys. We see our clients have like 1 million of them. But what that chew toy represents, it's actually the sound of a dying little animal. Because whenever a dog catches, let's say, a squirrel or whatever little rodent, when they actually grab and shake, you know that shaking stuff that they do when they play with their little stuffed animals, that shaking is actually killing. So if you add that killing and you add that sound, that squeaky sound, you're actually hearing a little animal dying. So without knowing, you find it, oh, it's so cute, he's having so much fun. But he's actually turning on the prey drive and actually learning how to kill. And that in the dog's brain is a level of excitement that's really, really high. And once they learn how to use that on a daily basis, then it creates a problem. It's gonna be affecting his whole life. Everything is gonna be like on hyperdrive. Okay, so to avoid that, make sure you choose toys that don't squeak. Okay, so the toys we recommend for puppies are those little ropes and Kongs.
And it is important for your dog to have these ropes to do their teething. So, sometimes puppies don't necessarily want to bite, but they're actually teething. So that's why it's important to, in this case, you could actually redirect and hold the rope steady and get your dog to chew the rope. So that soothes them. Like just like a baby, when they're teething, it's the same thing for puppies. Being able to handle your dog is a super important element as well. So especially if you have a dog, let's say that needs grooming, it's super important to be able to touch the paws, touch the ears, touch the nose, and be able to really touch your dog a bit everywhere in order for him or her to be comfortable with that. And it's important because your dog is going to go to the vet's office and, like I said, maybe grooming. So you want your dog to be able to be comfortable with that handling.
Yeah, and you might also have visitors that are kids that like to grab the dogs a little bit more rough. Of course, you have to keep an eye on your dog, but if something ever happens where the kid grabs your dog in a certain way, your dog's going to be comfortable with it and it's not going to react.
So it's an important part of training. You could actually take a training session on just handling. So just like sit down, stay, handling your dog, just massaging the paws, massaging the ears, touching a bit everywhere is important as well. And that's a training session in itself. So you could take 5 minutes every day to actually train your dog with handling.
Yeah, so like we said, touching the paws, between the toes, touching the nails. You could also touch the inside of the mouth. You could touch near the the bum area, also the hind legs, the ears. Okay, so the ears is really important because if ever they do a lot of grooming, the groomer is gonna actually have to cut some hair around the ears. Or if they go to the vet's gonna check the ears. So you want them to actually enjoy being touched all over the place.
We want to highlight that it's super important to address common behavior issues that you're having. Sometimes we have owners that call us up and that they've been accepting their dog's behavior for months, and don't do that. It's a big no-no. As soon as you see that your dog is having issues, whether it be jumping, with the crate, biting,
Between the tables,
counter surfing,
playing with the curtains,
barking, basically any issues that you're having with your dog, if you cannot resolve it on your own and you've tried for a week and then a week passed by and it's just not going well, contact somebody. So call a dog trainer, call us, call somebody to help you out. Because oftentimes some people will tell you, oh, it's just a phase, it's just a behavior that's going on. Oh, your puppy is going to grow out of it. These are all things that we've heard. But if you don't address the behaviors, most of the time they continue on.
and they get worse. Well, the behaviors get worse, and your puppies or your dogs, they become better at it. Okay, so it's a big no-no to just drag on those misbehaviors because you need to stop them right away. As soon as they start, the sooner the better. You have to prevent before it expands and gets out of control.
Right. Prevention is key. So if you could stop a behavior as soon as it appears, that's your best thing. Now, if you adopted a dog and you see that this dog needs some training, all dogs are trainable, but it just might take a bit more time in order to resolve the issue that's there. But again, if you can't resolve it on your own, ask for help.
As you know, we are what we eat, and it's exactly the same thing for our pups. So you got to make sure that you give them a proper nutrition so that they are healthy mentally and physically.
When you choose your dog's food, it's super important to actually read the label of the ingredients. So if you see junk before, don't buy it. You want to have the most natural, organic ingredients possible.
Yeah, if the list is super long, it's a big sign that it's a red flag.
Yeah. And we've studied a lot of brands. There is one brand that we recommend to our clients, and it's called Farmina. It's a good kibble. We really studied a lot of dog foods and went around, informed ourselves, checked a lot of ingredients, and this is a food that we found that was very good. For the ingredients are nice and fresh, and it's a good overall kibble for our dogs. Now, we're not associated with them in any way. We're just giving out our research and what we recommend. But you know, it's important for you to do your own homework. And again, like foods like pedigree or things that you know you could buy at Walmart are not always the best brands. Really do your research and choose something that will fulfill your dog's needs mentally, physically, and that will give them a long life.
A long, healthy life. So remember, your dog is going to be growing from puppy to preteen to teen to adult dog, and all those phases are a little bit different. So you need to adapt to every stage of your dog's life. What's important to know is that the first 2 years are the ones that are most important. You have to put in the work in the first 24 months so that you could enjoy the rest of their lives.
So remember, it's important to be calm, to see the vision, the goal that you want for you and your dog, and to be persistent. So sometimes it may not always be easy, but you're gonna get through it. Remember that this is a learning process. You're learning, your dog's learning, so you have to find tools and ways that are gonna help you out to achieve your goal.
Remember, the amount of time and money that you invest in your dog's education is going to be representative to the calmness and loving life that you're going to live with your pup.
So we hope that this class gave you the insight to start off right with your pup. If you need help with your dog, be sure to reach out by phone or by email, and we'll be glad to help you out.
Remember, you got this. You put the effort, you put the time, and you're going to be able to enjoy a whole beautiful life with your dog.
Take care.
And remember to go walk your dog.